I feel like you have a problem with commitment. I bought my own ring.
You did what?
I bought my own ring.
Well, first of all, I believe that you can buy whatever thing you want to buy because you're a grown woman. But was it supposed to be an engagement ring?
Yes, I was trying to, like, help him along.
That's not helping him along. That's pushing him.
Well, he agreed he'd propose.
Listen to what you just said, Miss Gates. He agreed he'd propose. That suggests it wasn't his idea.
Oh, I was kind of trying to call him out on his bluff after his other engagements.
So, Mr. Hatter, how did this all take place? Because it doesn't sound like you got down on one knee and took her hand and said, "You're the woman I want to spend the rest of my life with." What happened?
The way it was presented to me was rather out of nowhere. Working on my computer, she often comes up and will give me a hug from behind. This time it was a hug with a box in hand, and there's only one thing that comes in a box that big. And surely I opened it, and there was a ring, quite obviously an engagement ring inside.
And it wasn't for you.
No, it was for me to give to her. And it was not very subtle. And I understand, I mean, we've talked about it, we're on the same path. And she wants me to know what her intentions are in this relationship, and I understand that. It was just the way and the force with which she came at me were unexpected and perhaps a little much, but I understand that everybody does things differently, that she has maybe a different set of needs or a greater set of needs than I do. But when you love somebody, you give wiggle room for things that aren't necessarily you. That's why you're marrying somebody else.
Well, actually, you could all do it any way you want to do it. It's just you need to be on the same page with how you want to do it.
Well,
I mean, I have seen couples, Ms. Gates, that come in here and get engaged, you know, literally 2 months after they meet each other, and they can have 30-year marriages. But I also have seen people that have been together for 9, 10 years, have 2 and 3 children between them, and they still haven't pulled the trigger. The only relationship that will fail is the one where the two people have not met on what their expectations are. What are your expectations, Ms. Gates?
Well, my expectations are I want to get married, and I want him to commit. I don't want to play house with a grown man.
How long did you wait till y'all moved in together?
About 2 years ago together.
At that time, did you lay out that you were moving in, but with the expectation that you all would formalize and be permanent within a certain amount of time?
I did tell him that I wanted to get married eventually, and I'm not interested in just being a girlfriend.
Gotcha. I'll go to you, Mr. Hatter.
We did have expectations that we spoke about. It was brought to me rather strong at the beginning, and it was less of a conversation and more, like I said at the beginning of all this, an ultimatum. And it just felt...
But he won't pick a date.
Well, it felt forced instead of natural. It's
because
hard to
he
pick
didn't
a
ask
date.
you to marry him. I'm gonna be honest with you. He won't pick a date because he didn't ask you to marry him. You asked him and pushed him into a corner. So whether or not he wants to get married, that's when he starts to make a plan. So I'm trying to get to the point where, Mr. Hatter, when the ring was presented,
Yes.
did you turn around and say, "Okay, will you marry me?"
No, not right then.
He said he wanted to propose to me, and he
yes.
said he would.
Okay, so, Mr. Hatter, you
Yes.
agree that that's what was said?
We did have this conversation before,
Okay.
yes.